Hey everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday. It's November the 13th, 2019. It's about midday Perth time, 3 p.m. City time, about midnight in New York on a Tuesday night. So this is a chart. First of all, apologies, I've got a daycare related bug and my voice is a bit croaky, all that sort of stuff, but it's nothing major. So anyway, moving on, this is a chart of the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is certainly leading world indices at the moment still. It's broken out to new highs and it's on its way up and it's in a strong uptrend. So my trading has been pretty much concentrated on the NASDAQ market. I'd say 90% of all trades I've done have been on that market lately. And if we just flick to the All Ords in Aussie are still range bound. We have this double, triple top, whatever resistance above us, and you can call that ascending bottoms, whatever. But it needs to get out. It needs to break above these highs and start trending up. And so there's been some okay individual trades, but it's still just not that good a market for breakout momentum traders compared to the NASDAQ. And so as I trade both, I've just been concentrating on the market that's been storming up, and I've been ignoring the weaker market. And so that'll change probably pretty soon, maybe the All Ords will take over and lead the NASDAQ for a while, and that'll be great. And I'll switch most of my trading to the All Ords if that happens. Okay, so on the NASDAQ market, I'm still I'm pretty loaded up. I'm still long the Apple and the Lululemons and Nikes. I'm also long Microsoft, Amgen, which I talked about the other week, and Google, and a few others as well. So I'm really not looking to take on too many new trades on the NASDAQ market, but I will do a scan in a few minutes that will find a few stocks that I'm considering, just one or two of them. So just looking at the Aussie market, in my short-term trading account, I'm pretty flat. I don't have much on. I got out of CM8 and ATL and a few other trades. CM8 was, let me just get that chart up. This is what I'm talking about a few weeks ago. Break out of this base, came up here. As soon as it kind of broke above here and then had this candle and it closed back down, I just bailed out and opened the next day. So I got out on the 6th of November up here. I think I was at 33. So I was happy with that. That was a profit from, I think I got in at 28. So it's a small profit, but I just hate seeing those false breakouts. So, excuse me guys. So I just bailed on that, and it's been a week since, and it's just a bit of luck, but for these penny dreadful cheap things, I just want them to take off and explode. If it's going to break out and close back below its highs, for me, I know I'm probably impatient, but I just want to move on and put my money to work somewhere else. With the NASDAQ market and so many stocks out there breaking up, I'm just not going to tie cash up in some stupid little penny stock that's not going up. Okay, so the same thing. ATL. My position was so small that it's hardly even worth talking about. But I only got filled on a tiny bit of it. If for people that listen to these talks every week, and this thing's just went back into its base and it's chopping sideways. I don't want to get tied up in this little company and get stuck in there for ages. Even though it's a tiny trade, it's like 10% of the fill I was after. I bailed on that and for a small loss. So CM8 was a small win, ATL was a small loss, and so it's all good. And the rest of the Aussie market, I'm still long Cochlear. I still have a few other long-term trades, as I've talked about over the weeks, but I won't bore people with that. So moving on to some bases in Australia which are setting up. First of all, I'm going to chat about some stocks in the Aussie which are basing, and if our market can take out those highs, then I'm looking at these stocks which are basing at all-time highs, and then move on to I'll do a data scan on the NASDAQ chart and just show a few stocks which I like. And so with these Aussie bases, the main rules I'm looking at is I want decent volume on the formation of the pattern, and then I want blue sky above it, pretty much blue sky anyway, minimal resistance. I'm not bottom picking here. I'm not looking at stocks that have been trending down for years. It's just not my game. I've done that a hell of a lot over the years, and I just don't think it works for me. And that doesn't mean it's not going to work for other people. The whole thing about trading is that what works for someone doesn't work for someone else, and everyone's different. And the main thing here, people always say it, and it's a bit of a generic thing to say, but you need to find a form of trading that suits your personality, and then you just need to concentrate on that. Just because there's so many opinionated people on bloody Facebook and Twitter, and I'm off all social media now. I just can't stand it. So you won't find me on social media anymore these days. But the there's so many opinions and people telling you that this won't work or that's stupid or that this is the way to do it. And I find the best traders aren't very opinionated. They're just really, really, really flexible and have an open mind. And I mean, I don't care what works. If you have some sort of thing that's tied to the tides and whatever, if it works for you, who cares? It's all about making money. If you like using RSIs and picking bottoms, good on you. You're probably way more skillful than I am. But for me, this is what works for me. I just keep doing this, and I just don't stray from it. I just keep doing the one thing, right? So moving on to some bases. I like 88. It's been going sideways. It's had for a while now. If we just flick to a weekly chart. This is quite a few weeks of sideways action here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks of sideways action. 10's great. So 10's like, pretty much the ideal base. Longer obviously, but we have kind of an ascending bottom here. You can call it ascending triangle if you want to. There's certainly 3 touches of the resistance line. 1, 2, 3. So and we have rising bottoms. Rising. So it fits the definition of ascending triangle, and it's a nice big base. And so this is a stock that can really get moving when it breaks out, and it's in the tech sector, which I like, and I'm watching this. And if the ASX can break out of its base and this thing can break out around the same time as the ASX breaks out, then this is going to be something that I'm concentrating on. So another stock that I'm less excited about, but it's still setting up in a base, is BFG. These guys obviously have brokerage services, and if you just click on the financial bit here, you can see what they do. And then you go to their website. For new members, you just click that little button there. It takes you to the Google search of it, and then you can just flick through their website. They're a stockbroking investment advisory service, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I don't know much about this company. I've obviously heard of them, but it's setting up in a base. If we just flick to the weekly, I like the base on the weekly too. I like how we've had this high here. We've come down and we've come up and hit that same old high, and now we're forming a tighter kind of little handle. So you can call that a cup of handle, or you just call it a base, or call it whatever you want. But that's certainly setting up, and I'm watching that one unfold. So another one is, and this is a lot riskier, but this is just a new float, Apps Village. They make apps for companies, really in a very efficient, cheap manner. And this is a new float that's just zoomed up on massive volume. It's sitting at all-time highs here. If this thing can just tighten up for a while, I might have a quick crack at a break of all-time highs, but that's highly speculative. Those first 2 stocks are much more legit setup. That's just a little spec IPO new float thing, and so enter with caution. BAP is another stock that's based in at all-time highs. It has blue sky above it. If we have a quick look at a weekly chart, it's not as good as 88. I mean, this isn't 10 weeks. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so weeks of consolidation, whereas 88 had about 10. So if this thing can give us another couple of weeks, it could be cool. Okay, but I like BAP. I've traded it before. I traded it actually back here, which I talked about on these talks, when it had this big power earning gap up, and then it base, and then it broke away. So I traded it here, and it's a stock that I've got on one of my watch lists that I look at all the time. And so if this can just continue to basic, that could be a good breakout. So a few more. Sorry guys. PMV came up in a Dava scan. I like the explosive desperation volume here. People just doing anything to get in, and then this base here on lower volume, strong on balanced volume, and then it's looking like it might want to break out. So it hasn't broken out yet. It's had a decent day today. Its volume hasn't increased too much, but that's what I'm looking at. I'm pretty nervous to buy that now with the All Lords not breaking out. To be honest, I'm going to probably leave that unless I see the All Lords break out. But anyway, I really like 88 and BFG and BAP, and the other ones I'm watching pretty closely. The other one I talked about last week, NAN. So it looked like NAN maybe break out today, but I don't actually have an order on this one. But I like this setup. It's based in all-time highs. It's got blue sky above it, and so there's just so much good stuff happening in the States that until I see the All Lords break above that resistance, I just don't see the point in if the Aussie market was the only thing I traded, I'd probably be stuck buying some stuff, breakouts, and getting caught in a few more false breakouts. Okay, so look, just flicking back, I know a lot of traders kind of hate ETFs. They think it's boring, and they can make heaps better returns just by trading individual stocks and all that sort of stuff, and that's great. But I do both. I have a short-term account and a long-term account, and the long-term account, I'm talking decades and decades in here. And this is one of my favorite ETFs. I've talked about it a few times over the months, and I like this thing. Do your own research. Click this little search button here. It'll take you, and you can do some research on it. I think trading breakouts on ETFs is not the way to do it. I prefer to buy pullbacks. And I talked about this when I pulled back into this box here, and I bought it down there. I got lucky on this one. I bought it right on its 200-day moving average in this little box here, which I think I talked about a few months ago, and it happened to be close to the low, and so this thing is going up. And I bought a few passes of this over the years, and I just think buying these big ETFs in sectors you like, in industries that you think are going to be much bigger in 10, 20, 30 years than they are today is a good idea. But I said that in a completely different account. I don't look at the P&L on that at all. Okay, now let me just do a quick scan for new members and for any members in the States or people who like to trade American stocks. So this is just the data scan I do. Sometimes that's on 50, sometimes it's on 100 days, but I've just got it set for 100 now. And because in the States, really it's just a pure bull market going on right now. Okay, the NASDAQ market, the indices have broken new all-time highs, and they're just trending up. And so that's all you need. I mean, that's the definition of a bull market. Just it's all-time highs and breaking up. It's above all the key moving averages and all that sort of stuff. So this is just a data scan, and obviously I really like the big bases. However, if you have, when you have a raging bull market, you don't get the opportunity sometimes for these bases, because a lot of these big bases are broken out, and you need to just settle for much shorter term Davis boxes. So I'm going to cancel that because I'm just looking at the ones at the top. And so I do this scan every day for the NASDAQ, New York, NYSE, and ASX markets. And I scroll through these, and I'm just going to show you guys how to do it. Like I scroll really quick. Okay, so I'm clicking like that, and I like it. I know that people are probably watching this thinking, oh God, I spend literally less than half a second on each chart, and because I've been doing it for so many years, my eyes can see what I want to see in a millisecond, and I'll just stop it and go back. Okay, and so AMD is something I like. If we look, I've traded AMD a lot. If you look at this bull run we had last year, this thing went parabolic. It had this base here back in August, and it just went parabolic after that. It's one of I love this stock. It can really move when it breaks out and wants to. And so I am now looking at this thing in a Davis box at all-time highs, and once again it's like you would love this to just come up in a big long 10-week base, but I'm afraid the best stocks, it's like it's like the best house on the best street, right? They're tightly held, and sometimes one of those houses comes onto the market and it gets bought the same day, right? And so it's the same thing, that sometimes the best leading stocks, they're not going to give you, if there's a raging bull market going on and these stocks are trending up, they're not going to give you the perfect base, the perfect long-term 4, 5, 6, 7, 10-week base. They're just going to give you a tiny Davis box and go again. And so that's the way I view it, and I'm willing to take less than perfect setups if the stocks are leading, aggressive, awesome stocks. Okay, so AMD I like. I'm pretty loaded on NASDAQ trades as I said before, but I might take one or two more. So AUDC I talked about last week. It had this gap up here on good earnings. It's basing in this big box since then. On balance volume is ridiculously strong. We've had nice volume here on this gap up, and I like that setup. If we flick to a weekly, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in this base. Okay, and so that's pretty good. All right, so let's just keep flicking through. There's the audio codes one. So let's keep going. So I like that one, but let's not talk about that one now. Okay, and so I'm just flicking so quick, and it's daunting scanning this many stocks, but when you when you do it every day and you do it for years, you get good at it. So I like this thing. Massive volume here on the formation of this. We have this huge sideways base here, and then this big gap up through the all-time high on massive volume, and then we're just forming this tight little Davis box. So I like that this is expensive stock. It's at 72 bucks, and I've done a bunch of research on that company, but I won't bore everyone with fundamentals. But anyway, so moving on. Okay, and then sorry guys, sorry about that. So moving on, there's a few other ones in here which I like. Let me just quickly find them so I don't have to bore you guys scrolling through everything. Okay, LCRX, Lam Research Corporation, is in its second Davis box, and it's forming a tight little box there. So I like that one. And there was just one other one that I like as well. Oh, sorry guys, I think I've gone past it. Okay, it's not. It showed up before for me, but it's not now. So MKSI. Okay, big gap, big gap up on big volume, and it's just forming a Davis box there. So anyway, and so just a quick look at some of the leading Nasdaq stocks. I always do that with Apple. Is Apple is just broken out and it's never looked back. It's just storming up to new all-time highs. So all over that thing. Google. It's still around the buy area. It had a nice breakout and then it's just come back to that resistance line, but it's looking so good on the daily, weekly and monthly charts. And then a lot of the biotech stocks, so a stock I talked about a while ago, Amgen, broke out of this base, and I entered here, and anyway, so this biotech and semiconductor stocks in America are especially strong. However, there seems to be a movement towards like well-known brands, like Amgen and Apple and Google and stuff. So I'm certainly riding that wave. I'm having fun with the Nasdaq trading, and yeah, I'll chat to you guys next week. Okay, bye.